I hate being in front of a camera. I'd much rather be on the other side. And if you're still wondering who I am, you probably don't listen to this podcast much. I'm Sir. I started 2020 podcast almost 2 years ago. And the whole concept, I feel like I got to give you the history before I tell you why this platform was created. The whole concept, let me sit back because I can't stand sitting, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm comfortable, I ain't comfortable. I'm like attention for no reason, you know? Let me bring you down a little bit. You can see me, I can see you. But February 16th of 2017, or was it 2018? 2018, excuse me. Had an idea. I always had a microphone, and I've always knew that I wanted to do something with podcasting or something where I could be behind the scenes and heard, but maybe not seen. And the reason for that was I've always knew I had something to say, and I knew I could get your attention, but I just didn't know what platform to use to do it. So I got into the world of podcasting by following these guys I watch on YouTube. They did their little nerd stuff on YouTube, but then they had a podcast where they were free to say whatever they wanted, regardless of what anybody else said, thought, had to chime in. They did what they wanted. It was free reign. You'd be as free as you want. And if you heard something you didn't like, oh well, turn it off. There was nothing stopping them. It was just free reign. And I wanted that. I still do. Even though I'm there, I'm not there like I want to be. So fast forward, I bought my microphone. It went unused for months, years even. And things happened where I was. At this time, I was living in Huntsville, Alabama. I moved back home. And I'm a Mobile native. I've been in Mobile a good portion of my life before I went to Huntsville to go to school. So I grew up listening to the radio a lot. And on the radio, you really had 104.9, or you had 92.9, or as we call it down here, 93 BLX. And I used to listen to the radio a lot, but mainly my favorite hours were before school started. So usually around between like 6:50 and 7:30. So there was this one particular DJ, and everybody in my city knew who I'm talking about, probably before I even say it. Ray Ray. Ray Ray was a comedian, a DJ, a dad, an activist, spokesperson. He was everything. And I was always excited to hear and hear what he had to say. He was a jokester, but he was positive, you know? It was like that cool uncle. And so while I was in Huntsville, I got word that Ray Ray had a heart condition and that he was looking for, donors. And, it's easy to hear that, unfortunately. You hear that and you're like, oh man, it's terrible, but you go on with life. Fast forward a little bit, Ray Ray passed away. Now, I didn't know Ray Ray personally, like on a first name basis or anything like that. But that hit different. I've lost aunts, uncles, grandparents. This one hurt like those did. When your hero passes away, things, you're distraught, but things become really clear. There's two ways you can take a death. You can either get down and just be lost, or you can get a heightened sense of the times you're in. Things become really, I hate to say it this way, but things get real. All the bull jive melts away, and you get this sense of what reality is. And the reality is we are all going to face the music one day. And that got me thinking, if I know for a fact I'm going to pass away one day, I may not know what it is, but I know it will happen. I can either be sad about that and just wallow in this mortal flesh waiting to turn back to dust, or I could make my imprint right now. And that's when the idea for 2020 started. When Ray Ray passed away, a gap was left in me. The main person I really wanted to get to know, it was like a dream of mine. I always wanted to interview Ray Ray, whether it be just a one-on-one conversation or on the podcast. I always wanted to interview Ray Ray, but I never got that chance. And when I came home, it was like a culture shock. I had been gone for like almost 15 years, and nothing was the same. Like, physically, my city looked different, and the vibe was different. Now, don't get me wrong, every city has crime, every city has its ups and downs, but there's a unity specifically missing. I remember as a kid, MLK Day, we had the march. And it wasn't a question if you was gonna be there. You were there. So we would walk that march in response to the memory of MLK. And I felt like there was a certain pride in it. Like, as a kid, I mean, I knew I was marching. I knew I was marching for MLK, but I didn't see the unity behind it until now that I don't see it as big as I used to. Even like park league football games, those used to be the big thing. Like, it used to be thick. You know, everybody, I mean, parents arguing stuff and people might get into it, but it was everybody cheering the community. It was like that. It was unity for the sake of competition. And I'm not saying it's not there, it's just different. Ray Ray was amazing in the sense that he could highlight anything, anywhere, anyhow in Mobile, no matter what was going on. I remember in particular, we had, in my school, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was born and raised in Tomerville, but my grandmother passed away, I had to move to Theodore. And so I had to go to Theodore Middle and Theodore High School. Now, that's a culture shock, going from all black people to majority white people. I don't give a damn what anybody say. That is a culture shock. So when I got to high school, I was still listening to the radio every day, still faithfully. We had like American Idol, you know, talent show. And Ray Ray was one of the judges. Now I'm like, what Ray Ray doing here? You know, we got like 8 black people, or not really 8, but we got 8 black people here. What made you come here? And it clicked to me. Ray Ray was about the community, period. It didn't matter how many black people were there. It didn't matter if it was LaFleur, Williamson, Varga. You know, when you think of black high schools in Mobile, you hear the big ones. When I say the big ones, you know I'm talking about Murphy, LaFleur, Blunt, Varga, Williamson. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to them. Big ups, because they're legendary. I remember when I was in elementary school, I went to Farmville. I did a paper on John L. LaFleur and the history there. Like, all these high schools named after amazing black people. amazing superheroes of Black history in Mobile. And I wonder, why did you come to my school? And now that I look at that as an adult, seeing that Ray Ray still came out there, it felt like a symbol to me. It was like, no matter how far I was still part of the Black community. I'd never be ostracized. I don't care what I liked, what I didn't like, what I didn't do, what I engaged in, what I didn't. I'm still part of this community. So thank you, Ray Ray. I really appreciate that. That meant the world to me.